Welcome, everybody. It is Business Monday here in rainy downtown Providence, here at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. New England weather doesn't know if it wants to be 50 degrees or 90 degrees in the past week, but we'll wait till tomorrow and it's going to be back to 80 degrees. Thank our friends at Deepwater Wind for their support. With me today is a really interesting initiative going on. Vin Mesolella, longtime chairman of the Narragansett Bay Commission, doing really some innovative things with the community, and an unusual step. Usually when big quasi-public agencies go and do big projects, they kind of move in and out of a neighborhood and not always look over their shoulder. And in this situation, really turning in one very positive program, the CSO initiative, and turning it into a big initiative in the Olneyville section. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Narragansett Bay Commission is a mammoth agency, as you know. But what we do, we're in the middle and in the heart of communities across our service area, Providence, of course, being the largest service area. And in this particular case, when we were designing and developing phases 1 and 2 for our largest public program in the state's history, we always look with an eye toward leaving the community better than when we found it. And in this particular case in Olneyville, this demonstrates our commitment to leave the community in a better position than we found it.
And you're teaming up with the councilwoman, she's going to be on in a moment, and Southside Community Land Trust to build really, I've never heard of it being done here in Rhode Island, a partnership between an agency like yourself and building really massive community gardens to be able to support the community and reclamate the environmental impact in the area.
Well, one of the things we pride ourselves at the Narragansett Bay Commission, not only staff but employees and commissioners, is that we like to be accessible. And in this particular case, we received a call from Councilwoman Matos, who was very aggressive in looking for improving the community. She became aware that we had a piece of underutilized surplus property, and she approached me with the prospects of what can we do with this property that can be a benefit to the community. And for that, she deserves enormous amount of credit. Many times we find that the political community, they're absorbed in many other things, and these things go with no initiative whatsoever. In this particular case, she took the initiative to give me a call. We met on this particular piece of property. It's actually on 189 Valley Street, better known as George's Tire, for those who have been around the city for a long
That's
time.
right.
And through her efforts and the efforts of our public relations group and our promotional people, along with Commissioner Matos, Councilwoman Matos, she's been in contact, I believe, with the Southside Land Trust, and hopefully, in the very short term, we're going to find ourselves with a beautiful urban garden, and we're ecstatic to be a part of that process.
So you're known as a get it done kind of guy. Sabina Matos is a get it done kind of woman.
She is.
And you can't say no to her when she
you
calls.
cannot.
No, absolutely not.
Well, this is certainly a project that you absolutely do not want to say no to.
No, absolutely.
A lot of considerations went. How can the community best benefit from this piece of property? It's the perfect location for it. She kicked around a couple of ideas, I know, and then I guess she just settled on this urban garden concept, which we support. We intend to be a long-term partner, and we're gonna continue to support the community, as always been our philosophy to do so.
It's interesting, we were talking beforehand, Olneyville is one of the most vibrant small business retail areas. This is adjacent to it. It's really remarkable. You go down there, there's a couple vacancies on the store. You come down here in downtown Providence, there's a vacancy there, there's a vacancy there, there's two up there. In Olneyville, that place is packed, and it's all locally owned small businesses.
It's coming alive, and you may recall, for many years, it had a tremendous flooding problem.
Yeah.
And when we were designing phases 1 and 2, the combined sewer overflow project, we looked at that and said, how can we best resolve the flooding issue along with doing the sanitary flow structures? And I am told that the flooding situation there has been completely and totally mitigated, and that makes this project become a reality.
Combined sewer overflow, you have literally spent billions of dollars, correct?
We will be approaching billions of dollars.
Yeah,
yes.
right. And this has made a tremendous impact on the health and the cleanliness of Narragansett Bay. I think, you know, what's the word? It's the cleanest it's been in over 100 years in Rhode Island, and the impact to real estate value, recreation, tourism has been tremendous.
Yeah, and you probably read, some people think it's too clean. I don't know if you read that, but
you have voiced that. You have voiced that some of the standards might be a little onerous. We've hit a pretty good level.
Well, we always rise to the occasion. We have dedicated employees and staff, and they deserve a lot of credit for the hard work that they've put in through the years. And again, leaving, as I said earlier, more pertinent to this discussion, is we always leave our communities better than we found it. Not only we work toward a cleaner bay, but also better communities. And we're always happy to be a part of that.
Your impact's not only on the health of the Bay, but also in Olneyville. Why I've got you here, just last month was the opening of the Citizens Bank campus.
Yes.
Up in Johnston. And Citizens Bank officials have told us repeatedly on the record that company probably would not have been locating in Rhode Island, would have left the state, whatever it is, 3,000 jobs there, is that
Yes,
the number?
3,000 jobs.
If it weren't for some of the visionary work you had done up there in pre-designing how to get functionally water and sewer into different growth areas around the state. That's got to make you proud. You know, I don't think many people think of, you know, the chairman of the board of the Narragansett Bay Commission as somebody who's thinking about the long-term economic growth opportunities of the state of Rhode Island. But you started doing that work years ago.
Yeah, so I mean, fortuitously, we have a board of commissioners which are forward-thinking, and I try to fertilize that. So, and I keep them thinking about the future, and I was able to. It wasn't too hard to convince them that we should be looking at expanding our service area. And we did a study. I asked them, and they agreed to let us spend some money to look at the potential growth areas. And that area where Citizens Bank is was identified years before this project ever came to fruition as one of the growth areas. So we had already had identified it and begun preliminary planning and studies and preliminary engineering for that growth. And when Citizens Bank approached us with the possibility of expanding the utilities, both sewer and water, and they said, the only problem is, you know, we're going to need it maybe in 18 months. They said, we'll have it there in 12. And we're ready to go. And, you know, they were literally shocked at the thought that,
They voiced to me that they thought you were lying.
Yes,
yeah, it wasn't that this was a over-promise, under-deliver. Yeah. They straight out did not believe you.
No, they didn't believe it. And I remember having a conversation with Mike Knippa, who was a top real estate guy who was leading the Citizens Bank expansion initiative. And when I said, we will deliver that project, and he looked at the owner of the property and said, what does he mean? He can deliver it. And the owner looked at me and said, well, what do you mean? I said, what does he mean? What do I mean? I said, the Narragansett Bay Commission will deliver that project. We'll deliver it on
Abbott
time.
and Costello, was this
little
play
out
out?
first.
Right.
It was a great meeting.
What do you mean by
And
on time?
By the way, they were great to work with. Mike Knipper was super involved in the project. We worked on it daily. And I'm proud to have been a part of that process. We saved 3,000 jobs in the state of Rhode Island. It's definitely a feather in the state of Rhode Island's cap. You know, the governor included. Don't forget, the governor was involved. The director of the Department of Transportation was involved, and he was a liaison between the Federal Highway Administration to get the 295 off ramp done. It was definitely a team effort. The Department of Transportation and the Department of Environmental Management. It was a team effort. I like to think that we played a large role in it, and we're proud of the way it all turned out.
That's great. Congratulations on the success with citizens. Congratulations on this. We're going to be right back in 1 second with the two key stakeholders, Councilwoman Matos and Margaret DeVos over at Southside Community Land Trust. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Hold on.